What is up, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters? Welcome back to Chalk Talk, presented to you by Deal With It Productions. I'm Preston Deal, and yes, you heard that right. I control everything in that statement because we all know that betting on yourself is the surefire way to make sure you give maximum effort and take no days off. 3 days, 3 full days, Tuesday, Wednesday, kickoff on Thursday. The NFL Combine is here. Now, we are going to talk about what to expect, what to look for, all that stuff. I'm going to do that at the end of the show. At the start of the show, I made a list. I've been going through the players, kind of getting ready to do the evaluations and take the notes and do the crazy analytical things that we all do here, that whether you're a scout, whether you're an agent, whether you're a fan, whether you're there watching it on TV, whatever it may be, we all kind of have players that we want to watch, position groups that we want to watch, the 40-yard dashes. We all have these certain ideas, these aspects of, what we expect and what we want to see. We want to see everybody do good, obviously. But there are some names that were left off the list. There were Combine Snubs, as I'm calling them, Combine Snubs. They got snubbed from the list. There's one name in particular that's been floating around that is very shocking to me. So I want to go through that list. I want to kind of explain why I feel like these guys should be there. I don't want to say why they didn't get invited, because I have no idea. There's only one guy that I kind of understand didn't get an invite based on my list, based on the numbers, but the performances at the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl collectively were out of this world. And to invite 300 players, I know it's the top players. I know they have a TV schedule to maintain and uphold and do all this stuff. But if we're only highlighting big school players, the Combine is going to tailor towards the schools that are paying the most NIL money, that have the most players on those rosters. Now, when we get closer to the draft, I'm going to do an analysis on the top teams with the NIL money and how many of those players. I think roughly 50-something players are going to be drafted out of the top 4 schools that spent the most money this year in NIL. But there's a lot of good talent. There's a lot of really good talent in this year's NFL draft. The one thing I want to say about the quarterback class this year is it is significantly not as strong as it was last year. But I'm going to say it again. I'll keep saying it. If 99% of these quarterbacks in this year's NFL draft can get into the right system, on the right team, with the right coaching, and they can sit and learn, whether it's for a game, whether it's for a season, whether it's for half a season, I think this will turn out to be a very good quarterback class. Now, before we start talking about this list, and I'm going to keep this video short, it's going to be about 20 minutes today. I know that the one on Friday went very long. I appreciate everybody who watched, commented, supported, liked it, subscribed. With that being said, please do all those things for us here at Chalk Talk. Do it for the Deal With It Productions crew, cast, and family. We all really appreciate it. We hate to sit here and say the same thing that everybody who sits in front of a microphone or in front of a camera says, but please like, comment, share, subscribe, do the whole song and dance. It means more than the world to not only me, but to everybody else that's a part of this. And to everybody that reached out already and the continued support, it's been absolutely amazing. It's been an amazing 2 weeks. I'm so happy that I sat down and listened to my wife and listened to the people that have been saying to do this for a while. So I'm eternally grateful for it. This knowledge, this information, it's available based on a lot of different videos you watch. A lot of different people have a lot of differentiating, whatever the right word is, opinions about players. I'm all for listening to all of them. I listen to a lot of them. I have a lot of ways that I structure and value certain people's opinions, or don't value them, based on whatever it is that you think. So we appreciate you guys tuning in and watching these things. So with that being said, no brain juice from Red Bull today. Just some standardized coffee, which works just as good. Now, listen, if you're doing coffee and energy drinks in a day, you got something seriously wrong with you upstairs, and I salute you for being able to make that happen. In careers past, in the past, I have done multiple coffees, multiple energy drinks. We won't get into all that, but get yourself some brain fuel, whether it's water, whether it's tea, whatever it is. Get those gears turning. Turn up the volume. Let's get into our list of Combine Snubs, the 2025 NFL Combine, and who they disrespected, because that's a big one, and who should be at the Combine. And out of these players, I'll give you who I think will be the best NFL player. Now, again, got my notes, got everything ready to go. With that being said, we're going to start with the quarterback position. And you've heard me talk about this guy. Cam Miller out of North Dakota State was not invited to the Combine. He had a great Shrine Bowl week, played well in the game. This guy threw for over 3,200 yards. And I'm going to put all the stats, the picture of the guy so you can see it in this video. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Some of these schools might sound foreign. Some of you might not even have ever heard of these players. So trying to get their names out there is a big deal, a really big reason for this show, and kind of portraying the information that we've developed over the years. But back to Cam Miller, North Dakota State quarterback. Over 3,200 passing yards this year. He threw for 33 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. His first interception came right before the playoffs. He went almost 10 full games, 10 or 11 full games. 10. I think it was 10 full games without throwing an interception. He played out of this world against Colorado. If you put on the Colorado tape, if you watch his ability in that game to lead his team, to make the checks at the line of scrimmage, I don't know how this guy is not being talked about, and I don't understand how he doesn't get a Combine invite. He throws the ball really well, throws with anticipation. He's a small school guy. He's a FCS national champion on a program that has had historic runs. They are when you think of Alabama, that's what you think of as the FBS, the Nick Saban. North Dakota State is that for the FCS level. Playing quarterback there is no easy task. Trey Lance and Carson Wentz both came out of North Dakota State, both high first round draft picks. Wentz went second, first maybe overall. Don't remember exactly off the top of my head. I need more brain juice. That's what I need. And then Trey Lance, I think, was like third or fifth or something like that. So regardless, it's a program. It's a real program. And they can compete and basically almost win FBS level games. They'll be the next James Madison University that you see make the jump from the FCS level to the FBS level, and they'll dominate. They'll put players in the NFL. People will wonder where they came from, and those good old boys down there in Bison country will be stoked to have their school continuously represented. Cam Miller also rushed for 600 yards and 12 touchdowns this year. So he eclipsed over 40 plus touchdowns total. He's what is that? 4,000 yards total for his team. The guy should have got a Combine invite. I think he's going to make a great NFL quarterback. Probably a backup to start. Let's adjust ourselves here. What are we doing? Oh, man. We're slouching. It's a long weekend. We had a long video on Friday. It took 3 hours to get that thing dialed in and ready to go. We had technical malfunctions. The weekend was up and down with a bunch of craziness that was going on. But regardless, we're back. Now we're more comfortable. All right. The next guy on the list that I think is a snub that needs to be talked about, should get the praises he deserves. This is going to be this draft has a lot of names that are just wild. Really great names. Once I figure out how to pronounce them, I think that they will be a lot cooler than they are right now. But Efton Chisholm out of Eastern Washington, the wide receiver, which is another school that has historically had great players at that FCS level. Also, very talented as far as the production that they get into the NFL. Case in point, Cooper Cup came from there. This guy is almost 6 feet tall, 5'11, 200 pounds. He had 1,300 receiving yards. 1,300 receiving yards this year alone. 13 touchdowns with 120 catches. The guy is a magnet for the ball. He goes to the Shrine Bowl and he is tearing it up. He runs routes like he's 5'8", but he's almost 6 feet, 200 pounds. He's built like a little tiny truck. He looks like a smart car moving around out there, and he's fast. He can get in and out of his breaks. I've watched his film. He makes corners who are the best corners in the FCS, some of the top corners, look silly. Goes to the Shrine Bowl, and he's competing against other guys who are going to be probably top 3-round picks that are DBs, corners, and safeties, making him look silly. Not sure how he didn't find his way to the Combine. I feel like that is a very disrespectful. Those two guys in particular, Cam Miller and Chisholm from Eastern Washington, the receiver, I think are very disrespectful to the level of competition that the FCS football plays. So keep an eye out for those two guys, and trust me, when they start making impacts and people wonder where they came from, you would have heard it on this show first that those guys are going to be playmakers. The next guy, and I said earlier, there's one guy that I kind of understand why he didn't get the invite to the Combine, but Will Shepherd out of Colorado, the receiver. I've said this in other videos. I've said this all off season, I should say. The three Colorado wide receivers, Wester, Horn, and Shepherd. Obviously, Travis Hunter too, yes. So 4 really. But the 3 main receivers, they are dynamic. And yes, let's look. Shepherd's he's 6'3", 200 pounds. So he's a bigger receiver. 48 catches, 600 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So the numbers don't jump off the page, but he's making contested catches at the Shrine Bowl. He's fighting through press coverage. He's using his body to his ability. He's proving that he has the traits against high-level competition all season, against high-level competition at the Shrine Bowl, that he has the ability to develop into an NFL wide receiver. Leaving him off the list, I think, it could be justifiable based on the numbers, based on there's probably most of the guys that are going to the Combine that play receiver probably have better stats, better numbers. Overall, just probably the better type of prospect. I think Shepard's going to be good. I think he's going to have a great NFL career. I think he's going to get into a system where he can develop a little bit more into his body. I mean, if he packs on, 10 more pounds of pure muscle, if he can, start running and getting in and out of breaks, running away from corners instead of having to rely on contested catches, this guy could be a problem. He could be a problem. He could be a really good number 2, could be an even better number 3. It's shocking with the level of attention that the University of Colorado gets because of Coach Prime and the whole shindig that they got going on there. That there's Colorado players missing from the NFL Combine. But that's the way it goes sometimes. That's the one where I kind of put an asterisk next to it, where I can see why, but I would have liked to see him there. The next guy, which is one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite players that's coming up out of this off-season push, who I didn't really think too hard about, I would say, during the season. Willie Lampkin, the center out of North Carolina. He's 5'11". So, right there, that's all we have to say, right? I mean, he plays center, and he's almost 3 full inches shorter than I am, 4 inches almost. But this guy goes to the Senior Bowl, and somehow, some way, this David versus Goliath story. I mean, he's blocking defensive tackles. He blocked Deion Walker from Kentucky, who's 6'7", 350 pounds. I mean, this size can. I mean, if Willie Lampkin's the microphone, Walker was like up here, holds his own, anchors, uses really good force, really good strength. He's a pit bull. And I don't know. I think the way that Ricard for the Ravens has kind of made a name for himself, a fit. I think we might be looking at the next Patrick Ricard and Willie Lampkin. I think he could be your like seventh offensive lineman in rotation just in case, something goes haywire. You could put him in there just in case. Probably could make the transition to the defensive line side, probably have a couple packages, will be the personal protector on punts because he's insanely athletic for his size. And I think he could play fullback. I mean, if I'm a running back, I would like to be behind a 300 plus pound fullback going through the hole, especially on goal line situations. I mean, imagine Willie Lampkin on your team doing the tush push, but being at the quarterback position. If he can do it, which I think he can, him not being at the combine just ruins any storyline of him, you know, being this overcoming all the odds. The NFL always wants to talk about we're all here for the stories and overcoming odds and Walter Payton Man of the Year and all this stuff, but they hand it to the players that go out of their way to show that they're doing these type of things, if you feel my drift. So nothing against those guys. Love what they're all doing, but I think that the NFL has some missed opportunity there with Willie Lampkin. We always hear these dumbass stories at the combine, and if you're one of these guys, so be it. But we have these reporters interviewing these guys like, I had to drink 17 peanut butter and jelly shakes to gain weight to make it to my college career. But you're also 6'6". You had the body frame for it. Went to probably one of the biggest high schools in all of the nation. I mean, there's all of these components, right? For an offensive lineman to be 5'11", be an underdog, and perform one during the season as well as he did against high-level competition in the ACC, go to the Senior Bowl, hold his own, and really just blow the roof off of that place with so much buzz coming from media, scouts, front offices, all of these people. For him not to be invited is very, very shocking. So that's Willie Lampkin, the center out of UNC. If anybody knows Willie Lampkin, or if Willie happens to be watching this or watches this one day, I am rooting for you, buddy. I really am. I hope you have a long, successful NFL career and you prove everybody wrong. Underdog, Pitbull, love those stories. Next guy is another shocker. Chandler Martin. This guy's gained a lot of attention. He's a linebacker out of Memphis. Memphis has a great program. They've always had historic players come through there who have gone on and contributed into the NFL. Chandler Martin, he's 6 foot, 230 pounds. He had 111 tackles this year, which is insane. 7 sacks, 4 fumble recoveries, and an interception in 1 year. I mean, you're telling me if that guy doesn't wear, an Alabama helmet or an LSU helmet or a Texas helmet, he's not at the combine. He would be there. He would be there in a heartbeat. Might be the first invite on the damn list. So these things obviously have certain things ingrained into them. And look, you could get super passionate and heated about these things, but not everybody can be invited, of course. But there are exceptions to certain players that you would like to see there to dramatically help their future, help their stock. Remember, people don't just start playing football just to play it for fun. When you get to that level, when you're playing at Memphis or any one of these top FBS or FCS schools, and arguably almost any college, your goal is free education and NFL. Those sometimes not even in that order. Let's just be honest, Sometimes you go and you happen to get a free education, but you're working for that NFL shot. Chandler Martin's going to be a starting linebacker in the NFL. I'm not sure if he'll play on the ball or off the ball. I'm not sure the scheme that will be, drawn up for him on a defense, or if he'll play, inside outside linebacker, or what the deal is going to be. But for somebody that has 111 tackles, 7 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and an interception in one season, I would say that that probably would constitute a combine invite. I don't know. You guys let me know if you're watching this and you know anything about any of these players. Do you agree or do you disagree with them going to the combine or not? And if you could change anything or add a player to this list, let me know. I would love to see those. I would love to review them. This is just my quick little take on these players. I'm sure there's plenty of others. The next guy, before I get into the last player, that is the 2025 Combine Snub, Keandre Jackson from Illinois State, another small school guy, was at the Senior Bowl. He's 6'3", 220 pounds, and he plays safety. I watched him cover one-on-one as a corner, and he held his own. I mean, it's really hard to throw over a 6'3" safety, let alone a 6'3" safety that can cover a wide receiver. Pretty impressive, especially nowadays with the tight end position being utilized so much in mismatchups. This guy, Keandre Jackson, is going to be a steal. He's probably going to be in that 4th round range, I would assume. I would have loved to see him at the combine. Would have loved to see him on the on-field drills, see him run. I think he could have improved his stock dramatically. And for a small school guy whose pro day isn't as valued as like bigger school pro days, this would have been a big opportunity for a guy that I fell in love with at the Senior Bowl. One of my guys I definitely have on my playmaking list, which P's playmaking list is something that I always make after the combine, before the NFL draft. I put together one guy from every single position. Could be the top player in the draft at that position. Just guys that I think are going to be day one impact starters that have the ability to have really good long NFL careers. I try not to do the top players at every position, but sometimes it works out that way. Keandre Jackson might just be that guy on that list at that safety position because of how versatile and how good he's proven to be. He had almost 100 tackles, 98 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 interceptions, which are really, really good stats for a safety. Also means that your defense is probably not that good if your safety's making 100 tackles, or you're playing a lot of teams that run the ball and he has to be in the box. So hopefully his tape in his Senior Bowl shine enough and he gets the attention that he deserves and gets drafted somewhere in that probably 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th range. The last guy, which is the most shocking out of all, and then the media has been all over this all weekend, all week, ever since the list was finalized, Shiloh Sanders, Deion's son, safety out of Colorado. I mean, you would think. I mean, I've had my criticisms. I watched him at the Shrine Bowl. I've watched his tape. I see the flaws and issues that everybody else is seeing. But it's also Deion Sanders' son. I mean, you would assume with the name and the one of the best DBs to ever play in the game, you would assume that his son would get the benefit of the doubt and at least be able to prove himself at the combine. Him not being invited is a huge slap in the face to the Deion Sanders brand and organization and everything that they're building there at Colorado. Kind of goes against everything that the NFL tries to stand for, these lineage type of ideas. I think, look, I'm not saying that Shiloh Sanders is a 1st round pick. I'm not even saying he's a 2nd round pick. But man, would it have been fun to watch him compete at the combine, especially because, his brothers, Shadur's expected to be in that top 5 range. Top 10 if things go haywire, but the name alone, the idea of this lineage. I mean, look at. I mean, you got lineages work in succession. Coach Gould, I I got on the radar here because of Coach Gould, who coached my dad at Cal. So shout out to you, Coach Gould. You're an awesome guy. You're fantastic. Great coach. He's with the Rams now. Give Ron Gould some love if you see this. Follow him on social media. The guy is absolutely hilarious. He's inspirational. Fantastic coach. He's been influential in a lot of people's lives. So much so that he was still coaching here. Here. 20 something years, 18 years after coaching their lineage. It works. Let me tell you, it works. And for Dion to, kind of be disrespected in that way, for Shiloh to be disrespected in that way, for Shadur to be disrespected in that way. If I was Shadur and my brother wasn't invited to the Combine, I'd be really upset. I'd be taking it very personal. I think he could have balled out. He could have showed up, and he could have really done some good stuff there. Excited to see his career. I'm pulling for him. I hope for the best for all these players. Every single player drafted, not drafted, every player that gets an opportunity in the NFL. I'm the biggest fan of. I don't want to see anybody fail. Inevitably, there will be busts. That is the NFL. That is the sport. That's football. There's only 32 teams. There's only 53 roster spots on each team. That's not that many players, and the turnover is massive. So those are my lists of guys that got snubbed from the NFL Combine. I'm excited to watch. Nonetheless, I will be tuned in. Obviously, it's one of the greatest spectacles of the year for scouting. Tune in on Thursday. That's when it starts. I will be probably, most likely, we're going to figure it out over the next 2 days. I'm going to be doing a show after every day of the Combine. It takes me some time to review the Combine, watch it, kind of get the notes in order, get the film, get the angles. So I will be releasing those. This week will be most likely a show every day following the Combine. It's probably not going to be a very long, dramatic show, probably similar to something like this, just talking about the position groups, the stocks up, the stocks down, kind of what I see, and then we'll go from there. So for everybody here at Chalk Talk, thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We will see you later. Peace.